Hello and happy Monday. On Thursday, I made a video that was about handling another objection, and it seemed like it was super helpful for folks. So I just thought that I would do another one. And this is an objection that I think is fairly common. And the objection is you have a sales conversation. You get to the end of the conversation. You feel like, oh my gosh, they're in, this is so exciting. And then all of a sudden, what do they say? They say, oh, let me check in with my partner. Let me check in with someone like either business partner or spouse or whoever else, they might need to check in with. And you're like, why? What just happened? I just had a 45-minute conversation with this person. I just had an hour-long conversation with this person, whatever the case might be, right? And it can feel really disheartening and really, really frustrating if you're looking to, get them to take action, right? And so I want to talk about why this happens. First of all, what's going on psychologically with the prospective client. And also in understanding that, give you some ninja techniques as to how you might be able to move through that and mitigate that on the call. And so the first piece is understanding your audience and understanding what you are selling. What do I mean by understanding your audience? I mean that if you primarily sell to women and you sell a business service to women, they're going to be very, very different than if you sell to a company. If you sell to a CEO, C-suite level individual, right? And so understand your audience and understand what they might have going on in terms of do they have a business partner? Is there another, who are the stakeholders in them making a decision? These are the big things that you want to be watching for, right? And understanding your audience is also understanding, hey, if I am selling to a person who has a 50-50 business partner, then it is very, very likely that that it would make sense for me to have a conversation with both of them at the same time, right? So this is just very, very simply, kind of common sense, but sometimes we don't pay attention to common sense, especially when it has to do with our business and what we're up to. We have a lot of things going on as entrepreneurs, as business owners. And so just first thing, know your audience and know who might be a stakeholder. The other way that you can mitigate it is asking them at the beginning of the call, hey, let me ask you something. Are you the primary person that would be able to make this decision to make a decision today regarding your business or regarding this thing, whatever it is that you're selling? And if they say yes, or if they say, actually, my partner, my husband, my wife, we make decisions together when the investment is over X or when the investment is over Y. You want to understand that and know that from the beginning. And that's something that you can put into the pre-frame. And the pre-frame is the way that you set up the conversation. I'm not going to go into pre-frames today on this, but I did want to give you some tips. And so if there is someone that should be involved in the decision, say great, that's so wonderful to know. And you can even ask that before you set up the conversation, right? And so in knowing that, you can set up a conversation with them both so that everyone is on the same page in regards to making this decision. So you mitigate getting that. And then so I'm going to dig into those are audience and knowing who should be involved in the decision. Those are pretty basic things, but I'm going to get into the psychology of why this happens when it's a solopreneur. They're the ones that they own 100% of their business, and then they're saying, oh, I need to talk to someone else about it, right? Why does that happen? And how can you mitigate it? So when that happens, one thing to understand is that I work with a lot of women. I work with a lot of women entrepreneurs, and sometimes certain people are in a pattern with money and with their own investments, checking in with people. I think women especially can be this way, where we don't feel autonomy over our own and we don't feel empowered over our money. We don't feel autonomy over our own investments. Maybe there's a part of us that doesn't trust ourselves in terms of investing. And so that's something to call out on a sales call, right? And so if you're feeling like, hey, they want to check in with this other person regarding this, and this other person doesn't have a financial stake in their company, is not co-running their company, you want to check in, hey, like, I'm just really curious, given that you are the only one in your business and you're the primary one making this business decision, can you share a little bit about like what you're wanting to get out of having this conversation with this other person? And just listen. Listen to what they say, because I bet you any money another objection is going to come out of that, or they're going to share something that you get to dive deeper in. And a lot of times that issue is self-trust. Or it's a habit, especially like coaching. This is great information to know. That habit might be giving their power away. Giving their power away to someone else. And giving their power away to someone else to make important decisions for them. And if that's a pattern for them, you absolutely want to know that as a coach, and you absolutely want to be able to support them in seeing that so that they can choose differently, so that they can make a really empowered decision for themselves. And the other thing I want to talk about is when it is a couple, right? Like when you are talking to someone and maybe their partner, their romantic partner, their life partner is not part of their business or part of what this agreement is, and they have a financial agreement with that partner. When it's X amount, when it's anything over $5,000, I have to discuss with my partner. This is when we get into what your values are and what your own ethics are. So me personally, I really respect relationship. I respect integrity of agreements within relationship, and that's a very important value to me. And I don't fuck with that. Like, I don't mess with that. Like, if they need to have a conversation with their partner because they have an existing agreement, and by the way, I definitely ask, I dig in, I make sure that that's what is actually going on. Then I have a different kind of conversation, and I say, hey, so your husband, your partner, your wife has not been privy to this conversation. Do you feel prepared as to what they might say? Do you know how they're going to react? And I ask them straight out, like, what do you think they're going to say? And then I coach them on how to have a conversation with their partner so that they can get what they want, right? Which is working with me if we're having that conversation. Or so that they can feel prepared to like position what they desire in a way that would just already show their commitment to working together. And so that's another key piece for you that you get to do when that comes up. And knowing your own values in business and in sales is integral, and people can feel it. People can really feel it. So I highly, highly recommend that. And so those are just a couple of tips to mitigate this. And if you have questions, would love to hear them. I'm assuming that you guys just like totally got this. But one thing that's really, really important that a lot of people don't get and don't understand about this particular objection is that most of the time, people are fast to give away their power. People get scared when it's a big, especially when you're doing transformational sales in the world of like coaching, personal development, health coaching, all of that, like you're asking people to walk through the fire with you. And sometimes people are terrified of that, and they will look for any excuse in the book to say like, oh, I can't do it, meaning I get to stay safe, I get to stay with my habits. And so the most important thing that you can do when they have objections is just like go back and really go back with a fine-tooth comb and ask them from a very open-minded and like just open space. And remember, like the first thing in sales is like just care about the people that you are on sales calls with. Just like actually care about them more than you care about your own agenda. Like that intention and that energy is going to get you further than most things, right? And so if you're coming from a caring place and asking them questions and just diving in deeper, you're going to get better results, and they're just going to be more honest with you because there's more trust. And so when you ask them, hey, like, I'm just really curious, is you checking in with this person? What's the key reason that you feel you need to check in with this person? I just want to understand. And that's all that you're doing. You're just wanting to understand how they work, wanting to understand how they make their decisions, and wanting to understand how you can help them make the best, the most empowered decision for them. And so that is all that I will share on this. I am starting my sales embodiment incubator at the end of this month. I'm massively excited for it. And in that, we do the inner and the outer work of sales. And so another key piece with this, and these are objections, right? And people want, like, tell me the perfect script so that I can handle this objection and everything's great in my life. And yeah, okay, like, there are certain things that you can say. There are certain phrases, but that's just a part of it. Sales, really, especially like high ticket sales and mastering sales, is not just having scripts. It's not just having those strategies. It's really deeply understanding and trusting what you offer, trusting the value that you provide to other people, and also having the right packages where you feel a sense of confidence and you feel a sense of trust that they are going to get what they desire over and above with those packages, and the pricing is aligned with that value. And my sales embodiment incubator is launching. If you're interested, it's a 6-month program. It's the inner and outer work of sales. You're going to walk away with skill sets, influence techniques, so much more. And I'm also just going to dive deep into your mindset and what's blocking you from creating compelling offers that just are easy for you to sell. You feel awesome about it, and you feel like you can go into any conversation and sell anything that you really feel you believe in and have integrity with. All right, I hope that helps. I've got to go. Have a beautiful day. Bye.